Harry Harlow, okay? He was just like chilling in the 50s.
Let me show you a monkey raised on a nursing wire mother.
Lock the door.
We cannot use real human mothers and human babies, but we think we have the best possible
He was like,
hey, I think that we need more than just food and water.
and these other theorists were just like,
That's stupid. Why would you be feeling in that emotional poppycock and like needing to like hug and hold hands? Like that's for sissies.
and then they're like,
Well, yeah, that's great, but like we don't need it.
and then Harry was like,
We'll see.
he was like,
Bet.
okay. So then he did this experiment with these monkeys.
On the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Previously on Listen Lissa.
Much accepted as fact at this point in our understanding of human needs, that we are emotional, loving, interconnected beings that need a certain level of physical intimacy, physical touch, and emotional intimacy as well. It's a need. There was a time in history where psychologists and theorists actually believed that children were attached to their mothers simply for the fact that their mother is the one that provided them their needs. As humans, we believed were just food and water. That's what they need, those basic physical needs. However, Mr. Harley Harlow in the 50s did a very critical experiment that is still super duper influential to what we know about behavioral science in today's date. So it's like massively famous. You've probably heard a million different versions of it. I used to think I knew how it went down, and I would even like retell it to people thinking it was like such a cool experiment, but I was totally telling it wrong. So I actually went back and studied it again, and now I know exactly how it happened. So it's fascinating still, totally mind-blowing, and like just it was so groundbreaking at the time. What I actually discovered is that humans, like primates, very much need more than food and water. They need physical touch, they need emotional intimacy, they need connectedness, they need closeness, they need comfort just as much as they need food and water. It can be just as detrimental to some people, and as was proved, some monkeys, as starving to death. You can emotionally starve to death from lack of touch. You can quite literally die from neglect as a child, not as far as food and water, but lack of closeness, lack of physical holding and loving and attachment and security. That's serious stuff, serious biz. Harry Harlow, okay? He was just like chilling in the 50s.
Let me show you a monkey raised on a nursing wire mother.
Lock the door.
We cannot use real human mothers and human babies, but we think we have the best possible
He was like,
Hey, I think that we need more than just food and water.
and these other theorists were just like,
That's stupid. Why would you be feeling in that emotional poppycock and like needing to like hug and hold hands? Like that's for sissies.
and then they're like,
Well, yeah, that's great, but like we don't need it.
and then Harry was like,
We'll see.
he was like,
Bet.
okay. So then he did this experiment with these monkeys. How do you say this monkey? Let's see. Rhesus monkeys. So the Reese's Pieces monkeys. That's what it sounds like to me. Rhesus monkey. Okay, so that's how you say it. This is the infant monkey that Harry Harlow took away from their mothers in the wild. Okay, I got it. Jesus. Sounds like it rhymes with Jesus. Okay, the rhesus monkey was taken away as an infant from their mothers in the wild, and an experiment was done so that Harry could prove his very important point. And what they did was they isolated some of these infant monkeys, and they just gave them their vitals. They gave them food, and they gave them water. They didn't give them any love. They didn't give them any connection. They didn't give them any comfort. These monkeys were lonely and scared, and they cried, and they were not comforted. Okay, it was actually kind of like a really sad experiment.
His life hangs by a thread,
A soft cheesecloth pad that is his only companion, his only comfort. Once a day, the pad is removed for cleaning. Until it is replaced, the monkey is troubled, distressed. Permanently deprived of it, he may die. Reminds me of a baby that's been given back his favorite blanket or toy.
Exactly. And this simple, basic reaction.
This experiment could not be redone now because it would be not nice to do this to monkeys. It would be immoral. It would be unkind to put these monkeys through this type of detrimental harm, now that we know that it is so harmful. It's that harmful that it would not be allowed to be done again. But Harry didn't know this, and it was totally acceptable to experiment on monkeys at this time in the 50s, so maybe give him a break. I'm sure he'd be very sorry today. But he did make some big breakthroughs for humanity. So these monkeys that were lonely and isolated for long periods of time in their infancy, that were given everything they needed to survive, so-called food and water, equally as the monkeys that were socialized and had their mothers, these monkeys were then integrated back into the group. Much like if you had your caregiver relationship as a child, maybe however they treated you, however that attachment was in your childhood, and then you were thrown into the world, okay? And then you would want to see how you behave in adult relationship and attachments and how you deal with being integrated into the world when you had a not very attached or securely attached childhood. These monkeys did not do well, okay? Most of the monkeys, a majority of the monkeys that were isolated during their infancy did not integrate well. They did not go around the other monkeys. They stayed very isolated in corners, even when the isolation was no longer forced. Some of them were a lot more aggressive than the other monkeys. They got into a lot more fights that were started from their side. The monkey that had been isolated would be more likely to start aggression and attack other monkeys. Or in group settings where they were fed as a group, where everybody kind of had to try to get the food, these monkeys would either attack and bully and fight for their food and not share very well, or they would completely withdraw and just go ahead and let everyone else get food and just not eat for themselves and go without food and water if they had to compete for it. So they just had no proper qualifications to know how to properly get food in a situation where there's competition for it or a group setting. The worst thing that happened in this experiment is that many of the monkeys that were isolated in infancy actually died. They died from starvation. Not all of them died from starvation, okay? A lot of them died from starvation because they would not eat. They were so distressed when they were reintegrated into the group and trying to understand how to reintegrate with other primates that caused them so much hardship and just so much of a change that they just were not ready for and they never got used to, that they could not bring themselves to do normal functioning. Like they could not bring themselves to eat or drink. They showed a lot of dysfunction. A lot of them died, so that's pretty sad. At that point, Harry Harlow, he knew that he was onto something. He was like, okay, I know now that being isolated when you're an infant is very detrimental to your future. You are not going to integrate well when you're put back into society if you don't have proper caregiver relationships. He went a little bit further. Some of the monkeys were put in these cloth diapers. So this was really important, I guess. Like these cloth diapers were key in taking him to his next step. Some of the monkeys removed their cloth diaper, and those monkeys were more likely to be aggressive or not integrate as well, and maybe even die before they were put back into the group. So they died in isolation. But the ones that had the terry cloth diapers seemed to do a little bit better. This process was Harry trying to figure out what is it about the isolation that is determining whether or not these monkeys are able to be reintegrated into their monkey society and when they're not. He played with the different variables. One of the variables was the cloth diaper. So he got at the idea, maybe it's comfort. When he that's what brought him to the idea that maybe it could be feeling a sense of comfort and safety and emotional and even physical level. People can get it through several methods. So people, because we can connect emotionally without touching, intimacy, period. But like monkeys obviously aren't going to have like a no, like maybe that's them connecting emotionally. I'm not sure. It's just intimacy, closeness. We need it. He thought maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's comfort that makes the monkey thrive, okay? So he took the terry cloth diapers and he created 2 different surrogate mothers. So these surrogate mothers were basically just replacement mothers, something to represent a mother figure for the infant monkeys to see if it had to do with comfort, feeling a closeness, feeling a comfort from something that symbolized a caregiver. What about the caregiver's comfort feels comforting? It's their softness, their care, right? So we know that now. He formed 2 surrogate mothers, one made out of wire and wood, a real stiff caregiver, very, very cold, very not comforting. And then another surrogate mother that was made of terry cloth. These monkeys were placed into these 2 different situations and scenarios. Both surrogate mothers are equally given for access to the infant monkeys. And first experiment, the wire and wood monkey mother is given milk and food and water, the things that they're going to physically need for survival. And the other, the terry cloth mother, is given nothing. She's just there. She's just like, I'm here, I'm a mother, I love you, I'm soft. First one, where the wire and wood mother had the vitals, the monkeys would go to her for when they were hungry and when they were thirsty, but they would very quickly make their way back to terry cloth mother. When terry cloth mother had the milk and the water and everything that the little baby monkeys needed, they largely ignored the wire and wood mother. Sometimes they would randomly take a leap off of her when they were playing, but she just kind of became more of an inanimate object that was solitary in a cage. She largely wasn't needed for anything. Monkeys spent all of their time near the terry cloth mother because she had everything they needed, including comfort. But when this mother had what they needed, the monkeys only went to her to get fed and to get water, and then they returned to the mother monkey that they really liked. This was huge, okay? This was very evident that he was onto something. There's no denying it. They prefer the mother that has the terry cloth, that is soft, that is warm, that is comforting, that makes them feel comforted. This is where Harry Harlow was very convinced that obviously primates, which would be similar to humans, are in need of comfort. It's a need. It is a survival need that we feel comforted and connected to our caregivers early on in life, and then to either friends, family, or a partner later on in life. And that attachment is very important. He also did a little bit more variation. They put these monkeys in other situations to test different things that the monkey would do when they had the cloth mother nearby, opposed to the wire and wood mother. They found that monkeys in novel situations, so where they put them in a different environment that they'd never seen before, if they had the cloth mother nearby, they would be really curious and really more apt to go around and explore and try things out and see what this new world was all about. They had a curiosity, they had a vigor, they had excitement. They felt safe. They knew what proximity. Their caregiver was close by. And they put them in novel situations with either the wire mother or no mother at all. They cowered in fear. Didn't look around. They stayed in the same spot and they didn't want to try. Also, he tried this with introducing a very scary stimulus. Like he would put a toy in there that suddenly made all these loud noises, right? And freaked the little baby monkeys out. And if they had the terry cloth mother there, typically they would get a bit jolted, but then they would be like, what is this thing? And they would want to see what this toy is. And they felt safe and they would just, cling on to the mother. But if they didn't have the terry cloth mother and they had maybe only the wire mother or no mother at all, the monkeys would become extremely distressed. They would freak out. They would have complete dysfunction. They would run away and hide. They would want nothing to do with the toy. They would display disproportionate levels of fear in that situation. After all of this, Harry Harlow was quite convinced that he had more than proven that it's very important to our development and our ability to integrate into the world, our ability to feel secure, to explore the world, and our ability to attach to others healthily in relationships is largely formed by how we are taught to attach in our childhood relationship with our caregiver. And that is where attachment theory was born from. Now, if you made it this far in the video and you aren't familiar with attachment theory, maybe you've heard about it or maybe not at all. A lot of the information that you're going to hear me share on this channel it's coming from the person I'm learning it from. Her name is Thais Gibson, and she is a leader in this field, and she is the creator of integrated attachment theory, and she's also the creator of Personal Development School, where you can go to heal all of insecure attachment and learn how to become securely attached. And she has just innovative new trainings and new concepts about the matter that are just so mind-blowing. You don't just think of these concepts this way naturally, so it's so helpful to learn it. If you want to go ahead and figure out which attachment style you are, if you don't already know, there's a great, simple, quick quiz on Thais' website. If you Google search Personal Development School and you put in attachment style quiz, it's a free quiz. All you have to do is provide your email address, and than the answers to the questions. And just remember to answer as authentically as possible. Assess who you really are rather than who you want to be, so that you can get an accurate response about your attachment styles. That's all for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to be moving into the different attachment styles. I'm going to go through an overview of what each attachment style looks like and how they stem back to what happened in childhood. And this one could give you a better idea as well of which one you might be. But if you really want to know, take that quiz, okay? Thank you so much again for joining me, and I hope that this was informative for you. And if you want to let me know anything that you want me to talk about on this topic, please let me know in the comments. You mean everything to me. Everyone that views me, you mean everything to me. I love it. I love it. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications, like, comment, view. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Bye. Actually, we are similar to primates. Wait, are we primates?
We are similar to.
Okay.
We're not primates.
Wish we were.
We're Homo sapien.
Okay, well. That based on a lot of studies that I don't know and don't want to quote right now or look up, I just know that this is true, so I'm not going to do that. But just hopefully you also know this, that humans are very closely related to primates.
Bruh. Bruh.
Whatever.